Well,
morning.
afternoon for you.
Yeah. Right. Lunchtime on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Laura. How are you doing today, Laura?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The kids are a little stir crazy. We had a COVID exposure at school on like the 14th. And then Alden tested positive on the 19th. And so both kids are home. It feels like indefinitely. It feels like it's just been over like, it's Tuesday. Is it really Tuesday?
Okay. Yeah.
A long week.
19. So that's been, yeah.
But I am here and I don't need to worry about the kids for now.
Amazing. Well
And
done.
they're fine. I think it was a false positive. I don't know. Just feels bizarre. So I just need to be thankful for the fact that they're fine.
They're home and they're feeling okay, but they have a lot of
Yeah.
energy. So they're,
Worse.
yeah.
My friend through this whole COVID thing, because it's what you just said, it's just bizarre. Things are not making sense. She just goes, I don't try to make it make sense. And I have just really applied that. She uses it for COVID, but I've just tried to apply that to everything. Like some things just like you're going to kill yourself trying to make them make sense.
Yeah.
And that's one of them.
Yeah. That's wise. Not letting go of like, it doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't need to be fair. It doesn't need,
I
can you
know.
let go of that.
I know, exactly. My mom was saying, she said, well, because I'm going to Nashville on Thursday to see my nephew in a play. And everybody he has the lead in the musical at Vanderbilt. So yeah, it's cool. So I was like, I'm going to go, be a good aunt. And everyone was going to go. But then my parents and my youngest brother, who's immune compromised, it decided not to go. And then things are sort of getting better, maybe, supposedly. So I said, Mom, why don't you just go? So she gets a ticket and then she's like, well, that's so weird. I'm going to have to like make another hotel reservation. I said, Mom, this is just COVID. Like nothing is weird. Like you cancel it, you remake it. It doesn't matter. Just show up if it feels true to show up. So we'll see. She'll probably not come. I mean, I'm certainly not pushing either way. Hi, Meg.
The flexible cancellation policies. I think that should stick around.
Yeah, I think so too. How are you doing today, Meg?
Good. I have a big job interview tomorrow, so I'm feeling a little bit stressed about my lack of preparation for that. But overall, we beat COVID, so things are starting to become more normal here.
Awesome. So glad. Isn't this the job interview it's internal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're prepared. They know you.
Yeah. Good, bad, or indifferent. They know me.
Yeah.
That should maybe take some of the stress off that.
Yes.
You know you.
Yeah, that's actually true.
So Paige, before we start, do you want to say something?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you can, I don't know how you have your screen set up, but if you have gallery view, you'll see Erin Dubrow here with us. And some of you may have met her before, not entirely sure, but Erin has been working with Angel Aid as Crystal's, I think as executive assistant, I think is the term. But jack of all trades, as we all are here. And our community is growing rapidly. We are running a Rare Mothers Retreat right now that has 28 women, and I would say probably about 70% of them are new to our community. So that's really cool. And we also ran a giveaway program that you probably saw that we got, close to 50 new women signing up to. So our community is growing really rapidly and we're expanding and running new programs and just really exciting. So we are expanding our team at Angel Aid to be able to serve you and serve the new mothers joining. So Erin is stepping up and expanding her role from just being Crystal's assistant to actually being in a community manager role, much like I've been doing. So Erin is going to start helping basically do what I've been doing, and I will be moving to ultra part-time in that community role. So you'll still see me around and my name maybe floating around. You can obviously still reach out to me through email or Mighty Networks especially, but you will see Erin more starting soon communicating with you. So we're really excited. And I'm also really excited for all the new mothers, and I hope that they transition from that 6-week workshop into these groups because they're really awesome. And I just think that would be really amazing for them, for you, just for the rare mother community in general. So
You just said so many things that I'm not even aware exist. So
yes.
that's awesome.
Well, don't worry
Good to know.
because we're running another retreat in, I think we're calling this one the winter one, and then we'll run a spring one in the next quarter because we had to wait list mothers, which I was not
That's
anticipating.
amazing.
And so we already have about 10 mothers that I had to say, like, I'm so sorry, our Zoom cannot hold that many people. So you will get that information. So if a retreat sounds fun to you, it'll be virtual. Unfortunately, the first one was in person, which is just a different experience, but it's still pretty good virtual. So
We will meet in person eventually.
someday.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome, Erin.
yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Erin, do you want to say anything about yourself, just very briefly?
My name is Erin Dubrow. I'm living in Louisiana currently. I've been with Angel Aid since October. I'm also a rare mother. I have a 16-year-old son as one of my 3 children. I have one who's in college, one who's a freshman in high school, and my son who is my rare baby. He is 16, a sophomore, and was born with a chromosomal deletion. So it's called 1q21.1. They don't even have a name for it. And he's got multiple congenital heart defects as a result, and a whole host of other, questions, wonderings, things that pop up all the time. And as I'm learning, these teenage years seem to be more weird than the baby years because, that's when we start to pick up on all this stuff, right? And watching him go through all of this is interesting. So I'm excited on 2 fronts. I'm excited because this is a really cool place to put my professional energy. I stepped out of teaching when COVID started. I was teaching elementary school and I stepped out because we needed to be isolated. And I thought, oh man, I'm so bored. What am I going to do with myself? And, he's at school, and other than when he's home, there's quiet. And so this opportunity landed in my lap. And so I get to do this professionally and I get to connect with you guys personally. This is just super awesome. I'm excited.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're glad you're here, and we'll miss seeing Paige's sweet face on a regular basis, but you'll be around. And yeah, I think that's good to just bookmark, I guess, Erin, that not all the rare mothers even knew that the retreat was happening, right?
Yeah.
So just in terms of communication and promotions, just to really, I guess, send more in like seven touches, right? Isn't that what it takes?
So hard though. Like we get so much. In fairness, I'm sure I got communication about this and it
I'm
ended up
sure.
in my pile of things to read later that I never did.
Right.
So it's a hard challenge.
Totally. And we want to include everybody. So we'll just wait for Phyllis to come on. So glad that she's coming.
Do you know
in.
the dates of the spring one yet?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. It's TBD. We need to talk to Dr. Laura, who does her sustainable mom workshop. But we're hoping to run it in Q2, which would start in the middle of March. So somewhere between that March and then March, April, May, June, somewhere in there. But it's on Crystal's agenda to decide that soon because there's so many people that
Right.
want
Need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
save the
isn't
date
it,
would
the
be great.
structure of it is like, what is the structure of
It's
it?
6
Like kind of
weeks.
6 weeks,
So-
just like once a week for 6 weeks.
So
No,
it's Monday,
twice.
Wednesday, and then Friday or Saturday. So there's like so last night we did sensory self-care. It was kind of a mix between like a yoga, meditation, and then Wednesdays with Laura, and then Friday/Saturday is a social event. So this week it's healing with horses. So we're walk and talk. Yeah, so 6 weeks, and then there are sponsorships available. So yeah, I will definitely put that on the top of the list to pick those dates because I do think that's important.
Super. Thank you. All right. Well,
I'm here. I don't know why there's no video.
is there like a red line through your video camera?
No.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, I'm glad you're here. I can feel your energy. I would love to see your beautiful
Oh.
face.
Do you have a cover on your actual camera? I've seen this happen before.
Mm.
Like the lens itself, is there something covering it? Because I see your camera turn on.
Nope.
Okay.
Is there a button on your keyboard that turns your access to your camera on and off? Because mine has one.
I
And
don't know.
didn't
She has a Mac. I've never seen that on a Mac.
Oh.
Well, you know that I'm here,
Hi.
smiling and loving all of you.
Well, we're glad you're here, Phyllis. So today we're going to just look at commitment and what is it that you're really committed to in your relationship, and also the sort of levels of commitment and the agreements that we make that create a safe container, a stable container for you as an individual, for you as a couple, and for your family. So that's the direction we're headed in our conversation. I'm going to read to you from this book that I've read from before, Go In and In, Poems from the Heart of Yoga by Dana Fouts. Sorry, in the sun. It's a really lovely book. So we'll just, I'll read a poem, and we'll meditate, and we'll journal, and we'll see what arises. And again, I'm just so glad that all of you are showing up. It really makes a difference. And I know that you are making an effort. I recognize the effort it takes to be here and what all of you are navigating in your lives internally and interpersonally. So thank you. It was called Together. Together, we call down grace and gaze without wavering into the fires of creation. We find the place where love embraces fear and tears taste like faith. We let our radiance be revealed in laughter and in longing. We hold the whole of life, sweet grapes and bitter, healing herbs. We hold until we overflow and offer back the gifts that we've received. The vessel never empties. The growing love between us keeps it filled. So making yourself comfortable, letting the eyes close, taking a nice breath. Really see if you can breathe in the goodness of life and exhale anything that you don't need. And if your mind wants to wander, simply direct it to your breath. And that's the primary task. Let the mind rest on your breath. You might notice how your breath helps to settle your body and your mind. And acknowledging yourself for taking this time. Because as a rare mother, your time is so precious. Just continuing to allow your mind to rest on your breath as the breath naturally rises and falls. And in this space of silent pause, just see if you can notice what it is that you are committed to in your relationship. Just letting that question float. What are you committed to in your relationship? And every breath is an invitation to receive what it is that you are committed to. Maybe it's being present or kind. Honest about what you're feeling. Using this time to notice your breath, to recognize and receive what you're committed to, because it is no small thing to be in a relationship, especially as a rare mother. Taking this last minute or so to receive yourself and the intention, the energy it takes to maintain your commitments within your relationship. Just returning to the breath as it rises and falls. A practice that holds you, supports you. Let's take a moment and allow your hands to rest on your chest and thank yourself. Acknowledging yourself for even a few moments of being present here with yourself. It's okay if the mind was distracted. Acknowledging yourself for those moments of presence. They add up. They build your sense of steadiness. They expand your capacity to be resilient. And they expand your capacity for love. Let's just take a few minutes. Take your time. You can transition to a little bit of journaling. Maybe just 4 minutes. Reflecting on the meditation and reflecting on what is it that you're committed to in your relationship or whatever came up for you. Taking a little bit more time to finish up whatever you're writing. I'm curious, what came up for you in that inquiry? What are you committed to? These are the nuances of commitment that we're looking at, the commitments that create the container of our relationship, first with ourselves and then with our partner.
It's actually funny to look at my list because I was definitely thinking of it as with my partner, but it's actually funny to take that list and try to apply it to my relationship with myself. And it's obviously very applicable. That's an interesting mental exercise I'll have to think about some more. But the one that popped up, which actually was in our wedding, my brother performed our wedding ceremony, and we've just always remembered it, but he talked about you're marrying a person, not a plan. And again, so for me, it was like, I'm committed to this person. I'm not committed to a plan or a socioeconomic status or the job that they have, or, like those kinds of things. It's just the commitment to the person themselves. And like trying to love the person that they are, not the person you want them to be. So those were definitely the kind of top two that came up for me today. Especially when it feels like our lives are not on any sort of plan. So in a good way, we were like, oh, I'm glad because our plan got messed up a long time ago. So that's always going to happen. Plans always. Rules are meant to be broken. Plans always go off course.
They do. They are and they do. And I love this. Oh, that's a strange echo. Oh, came and went. Yeah, loving the person they are, not the person you want them to be. To apply that to yourself. Loving who you are, loving yourself as you are, really accepting them and loving them as they are, because I think a trap that we often get into, especially early on, is, we love the vision of who we think they could be. If we can like mold them into that. I don't know if that's familiar, Susie, you're nodding. I know I've certainly done that. And we want to hold the highest vision for ourselves and for our partners. Because if you see yourself as the best version of yourself, that's who you're going to become. Because you're living into that. And the same with your partner. And the way to get there is to accept and appreciate who you are and who they are all along the way. Thank you. And thanks for sharing your tender heart with us today, Susie. I can feel it. If there's anything we can do to support you, let us know. Yeah. And thank you also for modeling, for anyone who's watching this replay or anyone who's here now, coming as you are. Coming with your heart super tender. Like you don't need to come and be your most shiny self. You can come with your hair totally unwashed or whatever it is, unbrushed, unshowered, come in your pajamas. you know, mostly we're wearing pajamas all the time anyway, as far as I can tell. Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, come as you are. So thank you for demonstrating that, Susie.
I don't know where this came from. I think it just came up with something you said, Susie, but I just have been reading this book, The Wisdom of Sundays by Oprah Winfrey. It's really a collection of like excerpts from interviews she's done over many years. It's just really beautiful. And it's very, you can pick it up and put it down within 45 seconds. So very mom friendly book. I feel like you walked away with something. And the little thing I read today, right before coming here, was this passage about the power of I am statements. And, I certainly have said statements like I am lonely, or, I am anxious, whatever those are, negative statements. And it's not that we shouldn't say those things, but we should certainly be aware of the power of them. And that by saying that, you're inviting those things in. And the power of the opposite of, like, I am grateful, I am joyful. And so just through the thought process of relationships and commitment, the power of like, he is statements. And I even caught myself, like, I was playing with Alden, my son, earlier today, and he was trying to put a cup into a smaller cup, a larger cup into a smaller cup, 10 times in a row. Great dexterity for him, but like the knowledge that the large cup would not fall into the smaller cup was completely lost on him. And I tried to explain to him, like show him the other way, and he just kept going back to trying to put the larger cup in the smaller cup. And I said, "You're as stubborn as your dad," like jokingly, but I reflected on that and just being like, it was just a joke. It was innocent and like, but gosh, like what that invites that thought in, and it does not serve our relationship. And it's not useful. Like, what does that serve? I mean, so trying to be really conscious of the kind of blanket statements that I have about myself, but also my partner and my son apparently too. Which I'm like, stubbornness is like a wonderful trait too. Like I was kind of saying it like, oh, you're as stubborn as, it wasn't like I was trying to like undercut my
Right.
2-year-old.
Well, like stubborn, like determined, determined, like
determined.
not giving up.
Yeah, totally. But there are definitely better words. And so I am, you are statements, he is statements, whatever they are, just understanding the power of those. And when we were meditating, I was picturing like a tree of our relationship. And I feel like we're both like have to commit to coming to the tree and tending to it. And I feel like the majority of our early marriage before becoming rare parents, we were like tending to like the beautiful blossoms and all these like fun flowery parts of it. And like the plan like that we had, that we were very confident we could achieve. And now it's like, all right, we are like tending to the roots and the broken branches, and that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful imagery. Well, yeah, that's the commitment. That's one of your commitments, to tend to the tree of your relationship. Not just the beautiful, I mean, if you think of maybe like apple blossoms, like, oh, so sweet, but also the roots, also the branches, also the, just all of it.
And the pruning is what I was thinking of, like the pruning of what is not healthy anymore, and even being willing to like let go of the pretty things if they need to go, as people change, the willingness to prune.
Nice.
And I wonder also the like openness to seasons
Yes.
and like, yeah, winter's okay.
Yeah. Winter's okay. And we can still enjoy the tree in winter,
Mhm.
right? How do we be with the tree in winter? It's not about harvesting the apples. It's not about just like sticking your face in the blossoms. How do we be with the tree?
Respecting the core, the resilience.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's like the openness to seasons means I'm committed. I'm committed that even though, right? Even though this is happening, even though that is happening, even though this is not happening. That's the consistency that makes gives the stability. Beautiful. Thank you, Laura. And thanks, Oprah.
I highly recommend.
Yeah, seems wonderful. Meg, Phyllis?
This one was a little bit harder for me. I just don't know if I'm in the right space today. I kept thinking about, I'm stuck in a lot of negative thinking right now. And so it's just, I don't commit to anything. Like I'm not doing anything. And so I heard it as a, what are you committed to? And I just spent all my time thinking about all the problems in my relationship. Because I don't know that we're committed to much right now, other than kind of getting through. And I'm constantly coaching people on, not letting your activities dictate everything. You're going to get lost with your tail wagging the dog. And, that's just where we are right now. And I want to do a lot to it. But I think, Laura, the kind of seasonality was interesting to me because maybe that's just where we are right now. Is that it's okay that we're not constantly getting better, which is hard for me. And maybe it's okay if we can just kind of get through the rest of this pandemic.
Yes. Well, that's it, right? I think that's the place. It's to accept we're not constantly getting better, because as you get better along the way with every step, just like growing anything, you have to learn maintenance, right? We have to be able to maintain. And I just want to say, y'all, maintaining in a pandemic is a lot. Like we've sort of getting used to it in some weird way. And it's a lot. It's like it presses on us in all kinds of ways. Even if you just watch or listen to snippets of news, how many conversations do you have where somebody mentions the pandemic and then the stats of the pandemic and then the whole story of it? So just sometimes it's okay to just maintain. And I really heard, Meg, that you're committed to getting through. That's a huge commitment. So please just acknowledge, if you can acknowledge, like, I'm committed to getting through. You could say, I'm out of here, I'm leaving, you handle everything, but I don't hear you saying that. You're saying I'm committed to getting through, which is really the foundational commitment. I'm committed to getting through even if, as long as, there's kindness and there's care underneath. As I speak this, I feel like the only kind of exception is contexts of abuse that might be happening. I don't support that. I don't think it's healthy to say, well, I'm committed to getting through even though this is happening and someone's getting physically or mentally, emotionally, or harmed in any way. So that's the only caveat. But otherwise, we're humans. We're going through the strangest time that any of us have ever lived through. So,
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yes, absolutely.
Because I was pushing buttons and and made more changes, whatever. Anyway, when you talked about the plan changing, I was thinking of what I was committed to, and I'm committed to keeping my promises. I think that's kind of what Laura's saying about, and Meg's saying about, we're going to get through this because I took this on and I'm committed to following through and finishing and being there. I remember when we were driving away from our being married, which we have an anniversary coming up this Wednesday, tomorrow. Yeah, we were married in 1963. Oh my goodness. Anyway, in spite of our separations, divorces, and reconciliations, that will be our 59th. We were married 59 years ago. Oh my goodness. And I remember when we were driving away, I was thinking, am I really never going to be with anybody else but him? And that shows how young I was. But I made a decision and a commitment, and I still maintain that. What we went through those years with the boys, and since we've gotten back together, and now I'm his caregiver, and I'm committed to keeping the promises, the commitments that I made. And I feel good about myself about that, even though I don't feel good about myself in some other things. Anyway, you're all frozen, so I don't know if you're hearing me or
We can
not.
hear you. We can hear you, Phyllis.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you so much.
that's
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. Well, that's plenty. Committed to showing up, keeping your promises.
That was reminding me too, Phyllis. I was thinking before, like the commitment to like even having to redo things, like you're talking about maintenance, it's not always growing, and then there's maintenance. And then also like even being committed when you're having to redo something and start over again, and like the commitment to just starting over. And I think that's a lesson that I'm learning, is that it's not a waste of time when you have to do something again, right? So like you let something fall or die in your relationship and you have to regrow it, right? You have to recommit to doing that together, in a new season, when you're like, oh shoot, the tail is wagging the dog, like, but like that's not bad, like that's not, I go so much to like an offensive, like this is like a waste of time, like what are we doing, and it's like, no, like there's beauty in like doing something again. You see something different the second time you drive that road than the first time and the 8th time and all of that. So I'm trying to let go of the thought that it needs to even be maintained, that all of those are acceptable.
Absolutely.
Very good. Another thing I'm committed to is forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of him. I'm really committed to that. I have to, I really don't think about it that much anymore, because it's in my heart to be that way. I'm committed to being that way.
So important, Phyllis. Yeah, forgive ourselves for our moments of reactivity, judgment, unconsciousness, and forgive the other person for theirs. Forgive them when they make the same mistake over and over, or they do the same thing that you've asked them to do nicely and they don't do it, which I would say is true with children and partners in my experience. Yeah. So what else? What else supports you to maintain your commitments? Where do you have to go in yourself to maintain your commitments, to be accepting, to, as you said, Susie, to start over, to begin again? Where do you have to go to kind of garner the strength, the willingness to do something, to do the thing? Where do
I
you
don't
go?
know that I'm answering the question that you're asking, but
What?
I'm a goal setter. January is my favorite time of the year where I get to think about what I accomplished last year, what I want to accomplish this year. And
Mhm.
for me, it's about, I have to know what my top goals, like what's the most important thing. And goals is not necessarily just professional or, it's just goals. One of them last year was just for us to be more connected as a family. And whatever those are, I think it's important for me to define what's most important in my life and then just constantly anchor back to that. And if something that we're doing is not serving that, then we need to revisit it. And I think that's more about me than it is about us. Just for me, I tend to not let go of things and I want everything to be perfect and I want to run on all cylinders all the time. And this has helped me to kind of bring that down and focus on what matters.
Awesome. Yeah, set goals, reevaluate, and definitely set personal goals and family goals and see. And then you can also use it as a litmus test, as a guide, like to even stop in the moment and say, so if what I really want is to have a close family, if I want my family to be close, or I want my relationship with my husband to be close, is what I'm doing, saying, how I'm being, the energy I'm putting out, the face I'm making, am I smiling? Am I, making a grimace? Goodness knows I don't want to roll my eyes. What am I doing? What am I doing? And does it line up with what I say I'm committed to? And
I think for me, and I don't know if you other moms relate, but it's just about, it's where I'm putting my time and my energy. And it's that if I'm putting all my energy into work and at the end of the day, I have nothing left, then I've told myself and everyone around me that work is more important than my family. And so it's like there's this man named Stu Friedman, who's a professor and talks about total leadership. It's a great book. And honestly, I think it's good for us. Like, forget the work stuff. Just, it talks about, you don't have to think of everything into like buckets that don't overlap. And there are things that cover both. So if you want to invest in your family and your work, are there ways that you can do both at the same time? I don't have a great example for that right now, but that's where I keep going. It's like, where are the places? Because I find myself where I just don't have enough time or energy to do everything. And so everything suffers.
So that's a great piece that you bring in. So what's something that we could do, and this is an open question, that benefits all the buckets? What are some things that you can do that benefit all of the different buckets of life, work, family, self?
I have an example. I thought of one as you said that. For me, the reason this gentleman like hit me so hard is it was when I was in the midst of I was chair of the board for the nonprofit supporting Dylan. I was, in a high demanding job, tough stuff at home, lots of stuff going on. And I realized that my nonprofit work, which always felt like it was pulling away from everything else, actually did hit all those buckets, because nonprofit work helped me learn how to work with people who are not corporate, which is a very different kind of leadership style. So I became a better leader because of that. I was able to bring that back to work. I was able to bring all the things I learned at work to the nonprofit. And by serving this nonprofit, I was able to give myself hope for Dylan's future. And so it felt like I was investing in her at the same time because of this. I will tell you, it then went too far. Then it became this was my only thing that mattered. And I realized I wasn't spending any time with Dylan. I was so focused on saving her that I wasn't with her, if that makes sense.
It's a great awareness. Because that can be a tendency. I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to study everything. I'm going to do everything I can. And then we might miss the actual time for interacting. And
I'm
also,
gonna ask- Oh,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just
I
going
was
to
just
say,
gonna-
really what you're talking about is bridging your learning in one arena into another arena. And that's what we want to do. That's like deep practice, right? Is I'm learning this here, I'm learning this in my body, in my exercise. And then how do I transpose that onto how I'm relating, for instance? What were you going to say, Erin?
Oh, I was just going to add to that, spending all of our time trying to save, our child. We had a brilliant heart surgeon when our son was born. And, these kids grow up very easily infected with just about anything. And he said to us when I asked, I said, what can I do, at home? What can I do as mom to make sure that he has the best chance? Because I'm not a doctor. I can't make miracles happen. And he said, you know what you can do? He says, we saved his life. Your job is to let him live it. And so he told me, don't play, let him eat dirt if he wants to eat dirt. And I was like, oh gosh, because, that was his big thing though. And it really hit home with me for a long time, and it still does, is how can I play today, right? How can we live that life today and make it the best that we can?
Wonderful. Yeah, that's potent to hear from a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
We saved his life. Your job is to let him live it.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, that we have to let our children live their lives, make their mistakes, have their experiences.
Yeah.
Which may or may not go also for this pandemic time. I mean, we have to be discerning. And if we just hide out in fear, I'm not sure that's living. So you have to find that kind of middle way for you, where you're in full integrity with yourself and what you're exposing your family to, and also that yourself and how you're living.
Mm-hmm.
We're really walking on the razor's edge, as they say, in this time, which takes a lot of awareness. Don't carry a heavy load when you walk the razor's edge, I believe is the phrase. So are there any other ways or any other things? Yes.
I was going to say, I think hitting on both of those things from Erin and Meg is almost that, play and the work and the rest, like all of those things, like they're not in a silo and they're going to feed each other, and you can't focus on just one, like you have to, have them all work, because they're never like the concept of that there's separate buckets is false, right? Like they all feed each other. We're all one giant messy bucket, and we have to find the way to find the right mix of all of those things, to fulfill our values and to take care of ourselves. So I think, it's all of those reminders of that you're always, no matter what you're feeding yourself, like you can't have all dessert, but you need a little dessert here and there. You can't have all veggies, it's just like that same thing where it's like, you got to find that right balance.
Yeah. And it takes awareness to realize that all the buckets are feeding each other, and to move between the buckets. And one thing I would say is bring your awareness to when you're doing that. Oh, I just did this, like whatever you're taking from this meeting, you can turn around and relate in your world based on even just one little nugget you got here today. So what's one little piece that you want to work with for yourself that you'll commit to exploring or just keeping top of mind? It's not a huge assignment, just an awareness. What's one thing?
don't know if this is my one thing, but certainly be a good one to stick to is like listening with the intention of listening versus listening with the intention of responding.
Mhm. Yes.
And I've had a bit of a revelation with the cup stacking thing.
Mhm. Great.
I wonder if Alden was just trying to stack them, not put one into the other, in which case I was listening. I was not very open-minded or listening. I was like, the smaller cup goes into the larger cup. And he was like, Mom, they can stack on top of each other, you fool.
That's a great connection to make, right? Like if we stand back and we just see what someone is saying or doing without the expectation of this is what it means to do it right, this fits inside of that. It's like, oh, actually, you're not trying to do that. And in fact, they go together that way too. Just that piece that things go together in different ways. There's not only one right way. And I know I can live in right and wrong and like wanting it to be just so.
It's a shift from like you're wrong to maybe I'm wrong, you know, or like maybe you're right. Just that question, that curiosity.
Exactly. It's curiosity.
Yeah, I
Not
think
you're
I
wrong.
often,
Nobody's wrong. I'm just curious what you're doing and how you're doing it.
I don't know if others do this, but like I find that I ask questions sometime. Oh, bye, Megan. I often ask a question like kind of hoping for a specific answer or like unintentionally. Like I'm not like malicious in any way. But like, I don't know, as we're like thinking about how to parent or what to do this weekend, or, you know, it's like, oh, what do you want to do this weekend? But like often I have an agenda and I need to catch myself there because that's not comfortable to be on the other side of, I imagine.
Yeah. So that's an open question. Ask with curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and say, I had this idea. I'm curious. I have an idea. I'm curious what you might want to do. Like, but you can own that you have an idea. You don't have to, you know, marginalize your ideas or inspirations. Well, thank you all so much. Very rich dialogue. So, all right. Well, have an amazing rest of your day and rest of your week. And yeah, I think curiosity, bringing curiosity to how you relate is a great practice. And that can go across buckets, I would say. It's a big umbrella, the umbrella of curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Erin, for being here. And
Thanks. It was nice meeting you all.
yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. Big hugs. Lots of love all around. And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Okay. Be in touch.